there's one thing I'm very sure of at this point in the moment of where we are. Everyone's going to get it.
Absolutely
It's coming
everyone.
for you. It is coming for you.
Still and silent, calm before the storm. Gold and diamond, jewels behind the throne. Into the night, out of the dark, take to the sky, chasing the stars. All that we said, all that we are, waiting to fly. This is the start. Hide and seek, reason and rhyme, grand and glorious. Living the dream, yours and mine. Euphoria.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to True Sacred Union. I'm Debbie Dubois, and I am here with my good friend, Hamish Bartholomeus. Hey,
Hi there.
Hamish. We can hear you. We were having some sound issues before.
Major sound issues.
It's so
Yeah.
funny, but this is par for the course. If this is your first time in, welcome. We're glad to have you here. This is going to be an interesting conversation because my inner being was really nudging me to do a video. In fact, I was in the shower before I went off to the gym, and it was like all of this stuff was coming in full blown, and I'm like, I got to do a video. And then Hamish, you reached out to me and you're like, I've just been hearing we need to do a video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, yeah, so here we are. And
Here we are.
yeah, why don't you tell me what's going on in your side of the world before we get started on my side of the world?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's big deconstruction going on. There's a lot of lot of things getting brought up to be pulled apart and sent to the cleaners or sent to the recyclers or something.
Right.
And not for me personally, so much. I mean, I know what's going on, but not in a big way. Nothing in my life's falling apart. I've done all that already for most of it. I've done it, and I've done it enough that I don't freak out when it happens now. I'm just like, bye, see you. We didn't need you anyway.
Right.
So there's that, but it's big. It's just the volume is right up now. The amplification is right up, and a lot of people are. It's not that people are struggling. It's just that it's huge. People seem to be dealing with it, but they're just not used to having this level of amplification.
I mean, I want to ask you this.
Mm,
Of the people that you're working with and doing sessions,
mm.
how many would you say were on the crazy twin flame path and how many weren't? I mean, like throughout the last 10 years, not how many are counterparts, but how many were on that path?
Of the path of craziness. I'd say 50%,
Okay.
maybe a little bit higher, but there's a good amount of people who they're coming to me wanting a session or wanting to catch up, and then the fact that they're with a counterpart kind of bubbles up through the session somehow, and it's just not a that's not a big overarching defining thing in their life. It's just a wonderful thing that they're running with and are dealing with, and they've usually come from another, it's not the first relationship, and they've come from a very traumatic situation and somehow just kind of met up with their twin. And it's not beer and skittles, like there's still work to do, like we know. But it's not that craziness that a lot of people went through of the running and the chasing and the gaslighting and the not a lot of that in the people in that 40 to 50%. It's just, a part of their life that's come online in a really wonderful way, and they're pleased about it.
That is absolutely what I suspected. I have wanted to talk about something that's been happening and coming in. It's so clear. I've never seen anything like it, and it has to do with the event, and it has to do with the love waves. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on this video with me is because I'd really like to talk about it. But first, what I'd like to do, because you and I have not talked about this. I mean, that's what we were kind of saying before. You've been so busy doing sessions and you've had some family stuff that you've been doing, and you and I have not connected. So I'm really introducing you to something that I'm going through,
Yeah.
that I think is, this is as close to anything with the event that we can get. And just the piece that you're bringing in about those people that are the deconstruction that you're talking about fits in perfectly with some of my theories. I say it's a theory because I want to put this out there because I want to get everyone who's listening comments and feedback. Please put it
Yeah.
in the comments and let us know where you're at with what we're going to talk about, because my theory is this is the precursor to the event. These are the waves. They're coming in. Now, there seem to be slightly different symptoms and slightly different flavors of these waves coming in based on, did you have the catalytic heart awakening in 2012 or 2009 and go through all of this intense work? I mean, it was grinder work all the way up until the present moment. Or have you had a lot of other kinds of trauma or SSP or whatever kinds of trauma? And then you might just meet your counterpart. Where are you in your healing journey, I guess, is the most important question in all of this. So if you don't mind just sort of hanging out while I kind of go through this
Yeah.
and tell you what's been happening to me. I guess it was about 7 to 10 days ago, I started to realize that it was what the first, what I would consider wave was for me, where I felt like I could not do anything but sleep for almost 20 hours. I was laying on the couch, I was listening to videos, I was falling asleep. I had these big blankets on me. Of course, it's winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I'm just like so cuddled in. And the only thing that I can say is I feel pregnant. I'm like, I'm eating the popcorn, I'm eating the bonbons, I'm craving this, I'm craving that. And I'm just laying there going, I don't want to do anything. But what was different for me is that I'm very productive. So I don't do this. You know me, I'm up until 3 in the morning Eastern Standard, 3 or 4 in the morning Eastern Standard
Yeah.
Time. So for me to go to bed at midnight is like, no, that never happens. And then I had checked in with a few people that are close to me, and a couple of them said, yeah, I had the same thing. Now, what I was describing was this incredible warm mother feeling, like just cuddled and swaddled and safe and comfortable and all of that. Well, that lasted for that sleeping period of time. I heard other people saying they felt the father energy coming in. All of a sudden, they didn't have the need for, say, their counterpart to even be there, because they're like, I used to want them to hold me, but now I just care that, I'm fine. I'm good. I don't need that. So
Yeah.
this was what was going on about a week ago. But what happened in the last 24 hours, and then I put all the pieces together pretty much in the shower and last night and then in the shower today, was the only thing that I can describe it is, and you weren't on Lisa Harrison's call, and you probably did you even have time to hear that call yet?
No, not yet. No.
Yeah, you're like coming in green because so much came in that call. And if you're a listener and you have not heard that call, I think it's still available for purchase, and I'll make sure that the link is below. The reason why this call was super significant is that as we were having this call, my inner being came in with an insistence on sharing something that was coming through me, and I just was like, oh my God, I can't stop what was coming. And that is that we have waves coming in right now that are mother father energy. You could call it source energy. See, this week I'd been putting together the pieces that our realm, this upside down realm, this false matrix, the thing that's been missing is the parents. Remember how we had that conversation, Hamish? What did we say about the keys?
We said the kids kept whinging to have the keys to the car and pestering, and the parents said, all right, here you go. Here's the keys to the car, the keys to the kingdom. We'll see you later. Have fun. Try not to run into anything. and the parents stepped back. That's what it felt like to us, very much.
And what did you say? You were like,
Oh, remind
well,
me
you
what
were
I said.
basically like, okay, let's see how that works out for you. Like, don't
Well,
come at
I remember my feeling. My feelings like, well, I'll be hopping off here. I'll be getting out of the back seat of the car, and you have fun, and I'll see you on the flip side when you get around again, because I'm not riding in this thing without the parents being here.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I'm so glad you did remember that, because that was a significant conversation to me that we had, because it kind of made me understand a little bit more about the upside down. But that came in even stronger. When I started this past week, part of that process of me laying on the couch and watching videos is I started diving into the Secret Space program, and I watched all of Alicia's videos that she did with Daryl James, with Rebecca Rose and Tony Rodriguez.
Yep.
All right, so those are incredible videos. If you have not seen them, I highly recommend them. I think they're a good, if you are not super familiar with a lot of the Secret Space program stuff.
Yep.
I'm late to the party. I know a lot of you already know all this stuff, but what I liked about those videos is that I didn't go too deep into the trauma. I really can't handle that stuff. I'm one of those people that goes through the room when my kids are watching The Walking Dead and going, I can't listen because I'm so sensitive.
Yep.
So anyways, so I had been kind of looking at the Secret Space program and of course feeling this incredible mother energy coming in. And I said, none of this could have happened if we had parents in here, because parents would not allow their children to be taken. They would not allow their children to be traumatized. And that was a big realization for me. And then I started thinking about the fact that there are no parents in here. These parents, we are parents. We are parents. I thought I'm a good parent. Guess what? We're all distorted. There is no model for good parents because that energy really doesn't exist in the upside down. So we all wonder why we're having such a hard time loving ourselves, forgiving each other and everything else, is because we're all totally effed up.
And we're all following what we think is a good idea. We're following what we've been taught. We're doing the opposite of what we've been taught. We're following the wrong thread. And that video that I shared with you that I put in the community of my YouTube, the Star Wars Carlos Castaneda thing where it linked up, that just hammers it home so many times. Like you're just not going to get anywhere if you think you're somebody. Because if you think you're somebody with a story and a history and a past and this is what you need to do, and you need to hook up with that thing, the force, the eternal, the whatever you're going to call it, like higher self, call it whatever you want.
Right.
But you need to hook up with that and like listen to that, because that'll tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. That'll guide you in a direction that won't work with anyone else. It'll be that you won't get promoted in your job if you do that. Your family might not like you for a week if you do that. There's all these reasons why you shouldn't follow that path. And that's the path you need to follow. Well, that's what the would do.
Well, the upside down teaches you to follow the templates. Yeah. And so if we're talking about parents, everyone has this idea of what a good parent is. And it's really interesting because now that I'm having conversations with people in my life and we're talking about parenting, and there are so many, even in my light work or community friends, there's so many misperceptions of what a good father-mother partnership is. And think about it. The roles that we've been taught through the TV and through the programs and through history and through, so essentially what I realized is that with all the damage that's been done here, it's coming from having no parent energy. It's having no absolute love, which is what we are.
Yeah.
So when we came in here, we did not bring the creator energy with us. And I don't care what anyone says. Oh, you're connected to source and you can do. No, There was no
No.
source energy in here, people. We didn't have the true, real love because the ones that were coming in as love, the ones that were the ETs, the ones that are, like our father figures, our ascended masters, all of that, they were not love from home.
No. They were copies. They were clones. They were distortions. They were,
Because
and
we didn't
that's that.
have parents in here, people.
No. That's that whole thing, and that leads, like, that whole thing works perfectly with the concept. And this is just like English words and concepts to try and explain what the energy is actually doing, because we can't explain what the energy is actually doing. But the NPC, the bot thing, is like the NPCs are trying to do a really good job of convincing you that they're human, because they're in the backdrop. They're meant to be padding this thing out, and there's all these ideas of, well, can an NPC become an actual human? Can they accrue a soul over time? Would that soul turn into a spirit? Lots of people have got different things on that. We're not quite going to go there in this, but the trick is it's a numbers game. And there's this programming thing inside us through these, like, animalistic bodies, where when 100 people in a room are doing something, it's really hard to not feel uncomfortable if you don't do it as well. Some of us are wired contrarily, like, hi. Where if 100 people are going to do something else, that's just what we're like,
That's
right?
how we roll.
Um, that's how we roll. That's lucky for us. But we're looking at the 1,000 NPCs for one human, or the 10,000 NPCs for one real human, or the 100,000, whatever number you want to give that. It's like this weight of numbers, and it's not that they're trying to convince you that they're humans. It's like it's flipped the other way, and you're now copying them. You're going, oh, the movie's showing me how to be a good parent. The movie's showing me how to not be a good parent. All my neighbors are doing this, so I should probably do it as well. It's like this weight coming at you, this herd of people, and you're like, oh, well, I better do that, or I'll stand out from the crowd. And so that's how you change a whole group, like a whole group of real humans, real heart-based source, however we want to do that, non-NPCs. If you get thousands of NPCs and you just get them behaving a certain way, you're going to drag these other people with you going, well, I don't think I agree with that, but look, I'll get in trouble if I don't. Everyone's saying that I should. Everyone, you
I'll
go, they're
lose
not even
friends.
people.
I'll lose my family
Yeah.
members.
But they don't, like, whatever they are. And I mean, Star Wars is a good segue for that, because there are all these droids, right? And it's not like you're going around blowing up the robots or the droids or
Right.
kicking them, or not, like you're not discriminating against them because they're a different type of being, because they don't have a soul or they don't have a spirit, or you're just saying they're a totally different being to you. So why would you copy their behavior?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they don't have a heart connection with whatever it is out there, in here, whatever we're going to call it, why would you copy that? That's a bad idea.
Well, what you're
And
making is a really good point, and what I was thinking of when we took the parents out of the equation is the parents weren't there to tell us, "Hey, you're dreaming. You've made all these
yeah,
things up."
yeah,
So we made
yeah,
all these
exactly.
things up and we believed them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we had the
And
bag over our head that says, I don't remember I'm a creator being. It's a game, people. We're playing a
yeah,
game, and we've created these characters. We've created these monsters even. We've
that's the trick. Is it's a dual speed setup. It's not one or the other. It's both. We did create all of this. These templates are ours. All of these things are built off our template. I had that conversation with someone, two people yesterday, where you could treat NPCs however you want. It's like, but what if the NPC's built on your template? What if it's an energetic match to you somehow? Then if you abuse it, you're going to get blowback from it. That's a bad idea. Like, I've dealt with energetic situations with clones, with other people, where the clones were getting deliberately tortured and abused so that the blowback would come back onto the person. So you can't talk me out of the mechanics of that, because I've helped people through that and out the other side around trauma. The trauma wasn't happening to them. The trauma never happened to them. The trauma was happening to an energetic clone of them, and they were getting the blowback from it. Well, the NPCs are going to be the same. So, I mean, like you're saying, we created all of this. These are our templates, and someone distorted them.
Yes.
Maybe it was us. Maybe it was someone else.
Right.
Maybe it was the autopilot astrology, whatever the name of the.
Maybe it's just the AI that was in here got smart.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yep. Or someone very nicely named it for me a few days ago. TI. It's not artificial intelligence; it's technological intelligence.
Right.
Which, whatever intelligence we are, we're not technological like that. We're different, and so
organic.
Yeah. So if they're trying to, if this AI got a bit distorted, and that's a story that someone in a session definitely brought forward without any prompting from me, was there are these beings sitting up there above the galactics, so kind of in the God realm, still in the cube. We're still in the
right,
in the box. We're
right.
not outside, but they're up in that realm above. They're giving orders, and the galactics are following them, and they're in a ship, and they're conferring with and getting data back from and working out what the next game plan is from an AI, or as she called it, a TI, that is very, very distorted. And so how it was getting described to her, I said, like, who are these beings? And she said, well, they're like us, but they're not like us, in that. And the way we understood that was they're like us in that they have powers of creation, like they're quite expanded. They're right at the top of the box, basically, at the tip of the pyramid, but they're not like us because they're quite distorted, and they're taking data points and what to do next from a very distorted technological intelligence system.
Gotcha.
And she could see this flowchart of all the galactics and all the programs and all the secret space programs and all the ascended masters and all of these beings that are out there that are running these programs that, when you dig into them, are really nefarious and not all that nice at all. Like, for humans, very nefarious humans. We're the currency. We're getting traded. We're, like I said to you the other day, no one's slave trading reptilians. No one's stealing Andromeda's children. Like, it's all us. We are the currency in this whole simulation matrix, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And all of the orders were coming from this crew that she got given the tip that they were called the Watchers for her.
Well, there you go. I've heard the Watchers before. I've heard of the Watchers.
There's lots of stories about the fallen angels, who they called the Watchers, and there's all this interchangeable linguistics in all the old stories.
Right.
Angel, dragon, Draco, Archon, Watcher is almost interchangeable. So you don't know which one you're talking about. Like, are we talking about dragons? Are we talking about angels? Are the Watchers angels? Are they dragons? Or, like, it's really muddy. The water's really muddy in there. But she could see who they were, no matter what the name is. And they were like the teenagers who have bootstrapped a system. They faked a parent, an artificial intelligence. Like, they got this fake parent to tell them what to do and to confer with, and they're just running with it. And as long as it keeps them at the top of the tree, they're totally happy. But what that has to do is that has to keep humans right down here, like, so getting traded, getting used as currency by everyone else, basically.
Okay, so for my interpretation of what's happening in this upside down, everything's happening at one time. There's no such thing as future, past, present. So when she's tuning into this stuff, is it possible that it exists, but does it still have the power based on where we're at? What are your feelings about that? Okay.
Because nothing has the power that it used to have based on where we're at.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. That people
The
aren't
level
going,
of
oh God, we're still in a
Oh, no, no,
situation
no.
where, okay, good.
No,
Thank you.
no. The level of amplification that I'm getting through sessions now, like yesterday, the day before, this week, is put two zeros behind what I was getting 2 years ago.
Okay.
Like, and that's me. I'm not that much better. I'm not holding the space that much better. Like it's the energies that are coming through, and what I mean by that is the energies that are coming up and out and through of everyone, me and the people
It's
I'm working with.
purge. It's purging. We're
It's
purging the stuff.
we're kicking it out the airlock. We've put all the crap in the
Yep.
like the airplanes where the ramp comes down and all the stuff flies out the back. Like the ramp's dropped and it's all flying out the back. That's what's going on. We're
Perfect.
jettisoning the airlock, and people are just getting lighter and brighter and stronger and clearer because they're working out who they are, because they're getting shown who they're not, because they thought they
Absolutely.
were these old stories and programs, and then they're getting dropped out the airlock, and it's like, well, obviously you're not that because you're still here, but it's long gone.
Right.
And that's this week, right? That's why I dropped those two videos back to back that
Right.
came in why you said what you said yesterday, and everyone's having the week they're having. Alicia's done the same, talked about it, done posts about it. Is that purge is speeding up
Right.
because we're getting, whether we need to or not, I don't know, but we're getting the opportunity to find out who we are. And we're getting that opportunity because we're getting shown what we're not.
Yes.
We are not all of this shit at all.
Right.
It's everything, rip everything off, pull off the chakras, pull off the jewelry, get rid of the weapons, get rid of the clothing, the shoes, the warrior stuff, go through all of your wardrobe, just like the magical people used to say. A wizard or a witch is a wizard naked in a potato field with empty hands. Nothing. You've got nothing. No tree, no bushes, no clothing, no wand, no rings, nothing. If you can't pull some crazy shit off like that, then you need to go back and do a bit more learning, because you don't need the props.
Right.
In fact, the props are causing you problems.
Right.
And you should probably have a crack at doing it without them.
Well, and where I want to pick up with this is basically what happens when you get rid of all the props. Because I think that is what's been coming in for me.
Yeah.
Because I can say, I don't want to say that I'm beyond all of the clearing, but I've brought in a lot of these aspects. I've dealt with a lot of distorted templates, which I have released. And so I wanted to make everyone aware, and you, Hamish, because I hadn't really shared this with you, what I've discovered that goes right along with what you're talking about. And that is, now is the cleanup process that comes from the parents, the real parents. Source energy is the parents. Source energy is the feminine, masculine energy that is not distorted, that is nothing but love. And I'm going to describe how I've experienced it, because I have this, it's kind of like, I guess you could say it's a little bit of an analogy of, I want to say low tide and high tide. All right, so in low tide, I feel like that stuff is pushing up. The stuff that you're talking about is pushing up.
Yep.
Love waves, ripples, small love waves. Now, we're not into the big, huge waves, but this has been going on for a long time. We've just been so busy with the intense cleanup that we're not really paying attention how it goes away. We think we're just releasing it. The healing part is what I was shown, and this is what I was given when I was on Lisa's call, but then I took it further. So you've got all this stuff coming up. And what I realized and was shown is the only thing that heals this is true love coming in from source. It is true love that comes in from source like a wave. If you think about the slow waves that come in when we're moving towards a high tide, and they come in real low and they go really far into the land and they gently come back and they keep pushing further and further onto the land. That energy is what I have been experiencing when I feel this love come in. this feeling of content, this feeling of nurturing. But I experienced something yesterday that I'd not experienced before, which is this new piece. As the waves started going out, I started hearing all the things that I would say to myself that were not true.
Yeah.
So all of these things, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, I'm this, I'm that. I could hear those things and going, wow, I used to say that to myself. And wow. And then I was hearing, you're kind, you're loving, you're beautiful, you're amazing. I heard all these beautiful things, but at the same time, as this wave is going out, I'm hearing all the things that I used to say to myself. So I almost felt like after I went through that experience, I was moved to tears. I talked to a couple different people and I was just boohooing. I'm like, oh, I'm just like, I feel so full of love and I feel so protected and loved and cared for and appreciated. It was the mother father energy coming in and showing me what I am and what I am not. What I was not was being swept out to sea. All right.
Yeah.
Now I want to take this a step further. This morning, when we're at low tide, guess what was back?
All the debris.
The mind virus was back.
Yep.
Okay, so let me explain. So last night, I decided to put out a little message to my Telegram chat explaining what happened. And of course, I'd been past the boohooing and I was in the practical stages of it and I was super tired. I think it was 3 a.m, of course. And so when I woke up in the morning, I'm like, oh, what did I do? I left this message for people. And, you know, I'm sorry, but the New Age community is all about the guru who sits there and talks like the big adult in the room. And I get in there and I'm like, here's my process. I'm going through it, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my God, people must think I'm like some idiot, right? But again, this wave had gone out. All that love had been sort of washed back out to sea. So it's back at sea. So I start in with the mind virus. Oh my God, why did I tell people my process and nah, 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 blah, right? All right. So what was really interesting about that is that I got on the chat threads and first of all, I said, you know what? Fuck it. That's me. I'm being honest. I'm being in my integrity. Let it go, Deborah Ann. You know, I was like, enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was interesting is when I went in and I was seeing the feedback, or I had someone make a comment and they were confirming what I felt, or all of a sudden I was like, wow, they really did get something out. Oh, they really did appreciate my honesty. In other words, that mind virus, it was dissipated really easily.
Yeah.
Because so much of that energy of the self-talk and the beating oneself up and the criticizing oneself to not be perfect and blah, blah, whatever it is, goes washing out. So what my theory is that it depends on where you're at in your process as to how these waves are affecting you.
Yeah.
So if you've got a lot of stuff that you have not dealt with, it's going to come up for you to see. That's where you're coming in. You're seeing the people that are going, oh, I'm having these memories, or I'm freaking out, or whatever it is. And the beauty of it is, at this point, the only thing they really have to do is see it and whatever you're doing with them and moving it through so that it can be released.
Yep, just letting it go. You're not having to relive the trauma. You're not having to do the how, why, when, or like we're doing a bit of that just to build the muscle to go, this is how you work with energy. This is how you build your discernment data bank of working with energy. But you don't need any of that. You just find it, remove it. Oh, but the trauma, but the trauma was attached to the energy. How's the trauma feel now? Well, it almost feels like it happened to someone else. It doesn't even really feel that traumatic. That's right. Give yourself a hug, on to the next thing. Yeah, I totally... It's neutralized. I'm totally let go of that.
Right.
Yeah. Let's keep rolling like that. And people are doing that so quickly now because the love, like you're saying, the love threshold, the love wave, the
They're
true
like ripples. They're love ripples. That's the way I'm taking them, is the love tide. The love tide is coming in, and then the love tide is going out. So we haven't hit what I consider to be the crescendo wave. But this
there's no wave yet. We haven't had a wave yet.
We will have that wave. but
Oh
not
yeah.
until more people are experiencing it like I did.
And
In
and here's a question. Here's a question for me to ask you, Debbie.
Yeah,
Seeing as you experienced this um, true love, as in like true compassion, like mother, father, like like this
yeah,
is like the height
yeah.
of. Had you ever really felt that before?
Never,
Ever?
never.
So when you go through this now, this first hit me, I think, in about 2011, 11 or 12, somewhere in there.
Okay,
Um, when I first felt that, what you were talking about,
okay.
like just it washes a lot of debris out, but it also washes a lot of debris up to show you that it was bullshit and it's debris, and you're just crying and laughing, and your body, like I talk about, like a 15-minute orgasm. Like just imagine a 15-minute orgasm, like and not just a release, like a good orgasm.
I know what you're talking about.
with
Not the
with someone
just
who you love, going for 15 minutes and you can't switch it off. And it just keeps going and going and
right. It's a
like
wave, right?
it's a total wave.
Yeah,
And so you can't talk anyone out of it who's been in that, like
right.
that and you're seeing pinks and you're seeing purples. It's always the same sort of colors, it's that waterfall energy, that wave energy. It's very liquid, very plasma like. Once you've had it, you can't be talked out of it. But also, if you're talking to someone who hasn't experienced it, they're going to think that they're getting it, but they're not getting it, because it is not something you can talk about.
Right,
It is only something you can experience.
right.
You can we can talk about it, but we know that we're falling so far short of what it actually is. And
Hmm.
when you finally get it, and there's one thing I'm very sure of at this point in the moment of where we are, everyone's going to get it.
Absolutely,
It's coming
everyone.
for you. It is coming for you.
Yeah, yes,
When you feel it, when it washes through you, and it doesn't matter how much debris you've got in you. It doesn't
right,
matter how many programs, doesn't matter how much distortion. It's going to wash through you just like it's going to wash through me.
right.
And what's probably going to happen is it's just going to wash out a lot of that distortion. You're not even going to have to deal with it. It's just going to go.
Exactly.
And you're going to feel really weird afterwards, but you just like sidestepped 10 years worth of work. It's
Yes,
awesome. Like, but when this happens, it's going to knock you and me sideways
right,
because we've just never felt this to the degree that it's going to come in.
right.
Like it's gonna, and this is what I experienced in the vision that I had of like the wave, the event. I know Alicia's seen something very similar. A lot of other people have experienced a similar thing. When this goes through all of us, whatever it is, wherever we are, it's just how we're describing it, right? It's just a metaphor. Everything outside of us is a metaphor. When this wave of purpley, inky energy rolls through us, everyone is going to be brought to their knees.
Yes,
Everyone,
yes.
including me, including
Including me, including everyone that we know.
everyone. Now, some people may not get up.
Yeah,
That's a possibility, because there are and probably some of them are dying right now
hmm,
because this energy is coming in and it's amping up. And it's my theory. This
hmm,
is just a working theory at the moment that, yeah, there's a lot of outside reasons why there would be a much higher mortality rate. We know
hmm.
about the blood rituals. We know about the climate monkeying, like the tinkering with the climate. We know the
Right.
food. We know the water, the toxins, all of that.
Hmm.
And there's something about the excess number of people that are leaving at the moment in conjunction with this energy that's building. And it's like, no, no, I'm here for the big one. I want to experience it. I want to be here when it comes. And then they get to this point and it kind of washes through, and they're like, oh no, no, I can't go any further than this.
In this
And
physical vessel.
in
See, the
this
thing
physical
is,
vessel,
and
exactly.
I gotta say this. I'm gonna throw this in there as a possibility too. As people start to feel, they're feeling the call of home. So
Oh yeah,
those
because it
waves
is
that are
known.
coming in, whether they're
Yeah.
knowing it consciously or not, they know what awaits on the other side at the super conscious level. So some of
Yep.
them, the intensity with which you have to deal with your shit, that's the part they don't want to deal with.
It's the
So
part they don't want to deal
those
with.
that is why I believe that some of these people are going to pass, because they're going to come to that realization. I can't do this work. I can't feel
Yes.
the pain. I can't go through the anguish. I can't remember
Too
that
much.
secret space program
It's too much.
experience. I can't remember the trauma that I've been through in this marriage. I can't face
Yep.
it and make a change and do something about it. That is where we're going to end up with people kind of letting go. And I want to say this right now. There is no judgment on that, because guess what?
No, no, no.
There are times where I want to do the same fucking thing.
Yeah, and we're not at the end of the ride yet. And
Right,
so, what, are
right.
you or I going to say, "Oh, we can run it to the end"?
We
No,
don't
no.
know that.
We want to
We
run it to
think
the
we're
end, but
gonna,
we don't know.
Hamish, Hamish, we're
Yeah.
gonna, don't say that. We're gonna run it to that. No, but we
Yeah. So,
don't know what our soul, listen, I could die
no.
tomorrow, and if I did, I don't want anyone to say, oh, Debbie. No, no, no. If
Yep.
our soul makes the choice to return back to the higher dimensions without walking through the end of the thing, it's okay. You're on the other
Totally.
side, you're gonna be like, oh man, I wish I had gone. You guys got to do
Or-
that.
Or did you see how far I got? Did you see how far I got? Like, I thought I was going to tap out in 2016. I made it to 2024 before I tapped out. Like,
Ooh.
that, that's
Yes.
quite because
Yes.
here's an interesting thing about this energy that's coming through and being shown what you are by being shown what you're not as these things get washed out. This wave, this purple, whatever, gold, pink, blue, this
beautiful.
this never-ending orgasm, this mother,
Yeah.
father, that's us.
Right.
That's you.
Yes.
That's the real you.
Yeah.
And that's what brings you to your knees.
Yeah.
Is you get shown 125% of the real you,
Yeah.
all in one moment.
Yeah.
And you see everything you see everything you thought you were, you see everything you pretended you were, you see how you tried to make yourself bigger in this world, and then you see who you actually are, and you're just like, it's gonna pull out.
And what I'm trying to say here is I'm getting little bits of it in a small wave that it describes exactly what you're saying. So for me,
in increments.
for me, this is not theory. This is fact, because I'm
absolutely.
going through it and I can speak to it honestly. This is not a story I'm telling myself. This is honestly feeling the love that I've always known existed, feeling it wash through me, feeling it pulls out all of the stuff and helps you to see it as it's being pulled out by the tide. You can see the mind virus, things that you've said, things that you've done, things that you believed, things that you've hung on to. And it's like, oh, wow, how that feels as it's going. So so it's not theory, but what I am seeing is that I think it is in direct correlation to the work that you've done in certain things that need to be shown. And these waves, my whole thinking is this: the waves are coming in and they're going, and it seems to be right now. It comes in one day, it goes out, it might be out, the tide might be out 1 or 2 days, and then it comes back in, and then it goes out.
Yeah. Everyone's
And-
getting a breather in between. They get a break. They get a time to assimilate, and maybe it comes in, maybe it goes out for a week, and then it kind of comes, and it's so
But when it
gentle.
goes
Like, it's
out, though-
so gentle.
But when it goes out, I mean, I've heard this, and I've read certain things that people have been passing around on the chat threads. You know, people, I don't even know the names of some of these people, but they've been talking about, some people are saying you get a bit of anxiety before one of the waves comes in. Yes, you do. And you know why?
do.
Because you've probably just pulled some stuff up, or you've been without that love wave that you've had that you might not be even aware that it's called being in the flow. You know, when people are saying, oh, we're going between realities. 1 minute I'm in the flow, and then the next minute I'm not.
Yeah.
That's it.
And-
When you're in the
and-
flow. Go ahead.
And it's maybe not your anxiety. It's maybe the program's anxiety because
Right.
like the worms in your stomach will start to like bite and kick back and really give you a hard time 24 hours before you even go to the health food store to buy the black walnut and wormwood.
Yeah.
They know
Yeah.
that they know the part of them that exists outside of time. They can see it coming.
Yeah.
You don't even know that you're going to the health food store tomorrow to get the. You're like, why am I wanting to eat more food? Why am I? Because they want a buffer from the black walnut you're about to take because they know
Right.
it's coming. Like, so when you feel anxiety around that sort of stuff, and people in the last month, I would say to 6 weeks, that who struggle with that, it's
Hmm.
got a lot louder. The
Yes.
anxiety, the all that whole ball of wax that goes along with anxiety as a general term, that's
Well, and
become almost debilitating for some people, but it's not them.
I've gone
It's
through a lot of the
progress.
anxiety over the last, I don't know, 5 years. Like, I had it when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I mean, like, I took medicine for it. I had anxiety.
Yep.
I have experienced extreme anxiety, like on my counterpart path. There were
Mm.
circumstances that created that, but when I finally let go of all of that anxiety, then there were small financial anxieties that came up. Well, I mean, I've said even in interviews before, I lost my home. So, I mean, I've
Mm.
been through that
Large
trauma.
financial anxieties.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have the financial anxieties, but this is different. This is like, even though,
And,
listen, with financially and everything else, I just see that. It doesn't matter how much I have in my bank account. I don't care how much I have in my bank account. Even if I have $2 in my bank account, I'm not feeling financial anxiety. This is
yep.
different. This is a deep seated, the body. So maybe you're right about that. The body
Death.
knows. Well,
Oh
the
yeah.
body knows that it's going to be rejuvenated. So
Hmm.
if you got those parasites, or if you got um,
Yep.
parts dis-ease within your body, that stuff is getting washed
Yep.
away. It's getting so
And
the
they've got
yeah.
personalities. Those things have got like it's like an existential death is coming. Like something's going to die here. Something's
Right.
about to be taken to the cleaners,
Right.
and you kind of think it's you, but it's like no, it's these energies, it's these
Yeah.
parasites, it's these traumas because they have they have personalities. They might have been around long enough that they've built up so many experiences that they would even have what we would call a soul.
Yeah.
Like, like
Energetic blueprint of some
an
kind.
energetic
Yeah.
blueprint of
Hmm.
some kind that is so big that it's kind of carrying through
Maybe
it,
that's what
like
attacks through us to other people. Give me some
yeah,
food.
exactly.
I can't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
my
that I mean
cheesecake.
that's kind of what a soul is. A
Bitch
soul is
someone
like
out.
the sum total of your experiences, and you're like, how could this energy? I mean, it's not human, it's not a being, but I can talk to it, and if it's been around for long enough, like they can get feisty. They've got real personalities. Like
Oh,
that's a
I've seen
borderline
some of those
soul.
personalities.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And so
Lack
what
of
we're talking
sleep,
about
lack
is
of food. Yeah.
we're talking about a being with a borderline soul that's about to get taken home. Like
Yeah.
it's about to die in a way that it's never experienced in its life before. And it doesn't know what comes after death.
Right.
Just like everyone else who doesn't know what comes after death freaks out.
Right.
These things are going to freak out.
Right.
And they are freaking out. People are, how many times have we said, people are starting to lose their shit?
Yeah.
They're starting to freak out. It's not necessarily the people,
Right.
it's the stuff that's running the people from the inside out
Well,
is
and
really
that's the stuff we're taking out the trash. You were talking about that in the beginning. There's that flap is down and the spaceship is all that trash is going out there,
yep,
out the
yep,
door.
yep. Clear,
And
open the airlock, clear the
yeah,
cargo
clear
bay.
it
Boom,
out.
what? See you later. Yeah, yeah. And so that I mean, this is cool because as a side note to anyone watching, now I've got another person that I can talk to about the feeling and the bliss and the wave because so far Alicia's really the only one that I've been able to sound out and find, Alicia Brachet, who has physically and emotionally experienced that wave
Right.
and just gone, what the heck? Like, and you can't really talk to anyone. You can talk to people about it, but you can't really discuss it with anyone unless they've gone through it. Because
Well, and
once you've
I'm
gone through it, it's like,
now let me
man,
just put up my hand and say I've not gone through what you two have gone through with that one long blissful experience that you're talking about back in 2012. But what I
mm,
can say is that as I've been gathering data points, well, first of all, I did call Alicia up yesterday before I went to sleep to let her know I'm doing. She goes, it's exactly what I'm going through. So she said she's got these precursor waves as well, exactly the
yeah,
same thing. Um,
yep,
and so, but I have other people that are experiencing it, but experiencing it slightly different variations. And so
yeah,
I think what's going to happen is, I mean, like some people I've talked to have had the love wave come in. They feel the definite mother father energy, right?
mm,
And then it goes back out, and they might be sitting there waiting for it to come back in, going, "Oh my God, I'm bored, nothing's happening, I'm bored," whatever. But then I've got other people reporting, "Oh wow, yeah, I think I had something like that came in because I could see all this stuff that I couldn't see before, and it was pushing it up for me to say, oh wow, I see it in that person. Oh, I'm like that. Oh my God."
yeah,
And they're waking up to some stuff, and then they work through it, and then they feel like they're feeling better about themselves. Oh my God, I can let that go about myself. I don't need to think about that anymore. So there's
yeah,
different flavors of high tide, low tide.
yeah. And remember when we talked about this? I don't know, maybe right back in the first video, maybe 6 months ago,
Was
five
this
months
in
ago. Like,
June? I think
yeah,
our
and
first video was in July because we met in
yeah.
June. Yeah.
And I remember we spoke about this in one of the early videos. We talked about a lot of people being worried. Like, we're going to a new place, we're leaving this place, we're whatever. Do my family come? Does my dog come? Do I come? Like, all of that stuff, like that whole, what is this? How does this? And, you know, I know that they should be coming, but they haven't worked on their stuff. They just don't see it. They just won't acknowledge it. They won't. And we said back then, I'm sure we
Yes.
said, what's going to happen is the soup that we're swimming in is going to change.
Yeah.
And the horse that didn't want to drink, you drag that horse 25 miles to the water trough, and it did not want to drink at all. And then all of a sudden, somewhere around October, November, December, January, the horse is going to open its eyes and go, oh, wow, there's water there. Gee, I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me there was any water here. There's water right here. No, just wait. I'm just going to have a drink first, and then we can talk
No,
about,
we can talk
like,
about it.
while we're sitting here pulling our hair out going, like, drink the water. But that's what we felt was going to happen, was that these people who couldn't see,
Right.
something was going to change in them
Right.
where they would be able to see it. And that has been happening the whole time ever since we've said it, but it's
It's been
now
happening
happening.
before then. It
Oh,
happened to
totally.
us. That's how it happened. Now, some
Exactly.
people who are ready, like yourself. Now, listen, I will say that I did have that wave come in around the same time yours did, but mine
Mm.
came in with the counterpart. It showed me heaven on earth. And so
But
now
guess
that
what
you
you
say
did?
that, what?
You guess what you did? You pinned it on the counterpart
Yeah,
and said that must have been him.
right.
It's like, no,
But
no,
it might
Debbie,
have been the
that
mirror.
that was
Like you've
you.
talked about that before, where you meet
Uh-huh.
yourself and you
Uh-huh.
have that experience and you project all that you are onto another person.
It's so amazing. You go, that can't possibly be me. That must be that amazing person over there. It's like, no, 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 that's you.
Right. I sit here in absolute joy and bliss and gratitude that this is why I came here. This is why, because I wanted to go through this. And I know people think, oh my God, when is this going to happen? And why can't we hurry it up? And guys, when we get out of here, we're going to be going, it's going to be like the roller coaster. Well, maybe not. No, I want to go again. Maybe not. But what
Maybe
I'm
not, maybe not again. But we'll be like, yeah, that was a hell of a ride. That was
we are
pretty.
going
But
to talk about this and relive it and do motion pictures and documentaries and plays and write music and everything else for eons of time to
Yeah.
try to express from a light perspective all the darkness we saw and what it meant in our soul's growth. And so, going through all of this has been really well worth it. But now what I understand is happening is I see the formula and how it's going to happen. See, up until this time, I couldn't see a way out. But I already see the way out now. The way out is through the love waves coming in through source that wash the stuff that's coming up. We've got the stuff bubbling up. When it withdraws its energy a little bit, that's when the stuff starts bubbling up. Then the love comes in and it draws it away. And then it stays out to sea for a little while. And some more stuff starts bubbling up because you start seeing the debris that was left in the sand. You can see the shells, you can see the rocks, you can see sea urchins that were left in the sand. And then you're like, oh, I got to take care of that. And then the love wave comes back in and it goes out. And so for those of us who have been awake for a very, very long time and really, really actively looking for those blind spots, as you call them, oh my God, where's that blind spot? And God, I know a lot of people. All of us that have been looking for the blind spots, that's why we're the forerunners. We're just the people that came in to do it first. But it's going to happen with everyone. And of course, the further we get along in our process, the more we feel the bliss, we start building the bliss within us. So whatever you and I had felt in 2012, that starts going, hopefully not like that, probably, hopefully not in that kind of way, because that would be hard to get anything done. But if we have all of that love and that energy building, I see a couple of things happening with me personally. Number one, the way I see others is just completely different. I see with completely new eyes. I can see, I want to say, first of all, I can see the child in me. So I can see when I'm a child and I need the love, so I can give myself the love, but I see the child in others. And it doesn't matter what kind of child it is. It can be an abusive child. It can be a scrawny, skinny child that doesn't eat enough. It doesn't matter what child, what person it is. It's the child that's in here without the parents that needs the love, that needs that energy coming in. And so I've just changed my perspective on the people that are in my life, in my circle, in my groups, in the stores, in the everything, to where, except for when the tide is really low and that stuff is kicking up really hard, when the tide is sort of in to all the way in, overflowing love for everyone. So,
in a way that you can't even put words to. You can't even, like you say, oh, I love everyone. I do. I just love everyone. And people look at you like, well, that's a lovely thing to say.
But
or
you don't mean it.
But you don't mean it. I mean, how could you love everyone? What do you even mean by love? What do you, and that's where you're like, because I know you haven't felt it yet. Yeah. But when you feel that hit.
For you, you have to feel it in you.
Personally.
You have to feel source energy come in and love you unconditionally so that you can love you unconditionally, so that you realize, I can love them unconditionally.
Yeah, and it's not, and I want to put a little tweak in here on my take on it, and this is just my take on it, is this wave is not coming from out there to wash over us.
Right.
This wave is actually coming from inside up and out like a fountain.
Yes.
And it might look like, because I've been standing in the vision and I saw the purple wave coming like a dust storm. If anyone who's been in crazy dry country and have had a dust storm go through them, it was like a rolling cloud of purple, and you're kind of in it, and then you're in it, like full on. It was just like a dust storm. But that's a metaphor. It actually comes from the inside out, and it's like the front runners who who realize that they experienced it earlier and have been doing enough work that they can express it. Because, you know, if something wants to move through you and there's a lot of debris in the way,
Just blocks.
it's going to block it. It's going to slow it down. It's got to stop and work on the debris. Or so people who have done a bit more work, got a bit less debris, it's going to come up and out of them and ripple out. And then the more it does that, the more it starts working on other people, the more it starts coming up and out of them. And you get to this tipping point where it just goes and it goes through everyone.
Yeah, because it's building in the energy. That's what I'm getting with the building in the energy. And that's why I was going to say that low tide, high tide is just a visual, an externalized visual of how you can see it in your mind's eye. Now you could adapt that for like, and someone said that was my mom today. My mom, she's amazing. God, I love her. She's 80 years old. And we're having this conversation. I'm explaining all of this stuff that I'm seeing. And she said, you could do a meditation like that. and I'm like, well, I mean, I guess if you're wanting to do a visualization, you can actually, I'm sure, anything that we do where we practice it with our minds and we put it into some kind of, it's like playing the game. It's like Alicia and I did some work and we went and we did this and we did that. And well, maybe if we do this and maybe if we do that, it's like being in the game. The way I look at being here is kind of like one of those, what are those rooms called where they lock you in? It's called something.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Escape rooms.
Escape rooms. And if you can kind of think of the fact that we're in an escape room and we know we're going to get out because there is going to be someone that's got the key to get us out. It doesn't seem like it. It sure as hell doesn't seem like it. But
we're the key.
We're the key
to get out.
Right, exactly. We're on the other side if we have the key. But it is kind of like a panic room or not a panic room, but an escape room, in that we've got to find ways to get ourselves out. So in doing this video, and why my inner being was saying this is so important is that if people can grasp the concept of what is happening to us, you can use that in any way you want to use it to get out of the escape room. Right? So if you want to, if you're like, oh, wow, I want to accelerate that process. I think I'll use Debbie's metaphor of the ocean and I'll think of, hey, I'll see the ocean tide coming in and going out and I'll see there being stuff there. And then I'll call Hamish on the phone and say, hey, Mish, how do I get out this stuff or whatever? Or Debbie, hey, listen to me. I'm always saying, call Hamish. You can call me too.
Call Debbie. Call Debbie. She knows what she's doing.
Hamish is really, really brilliant at structures and stuff, though, and that's how you've helped me. So that's why I always think of you. But if you want to talk about it and you want to get perspectives, I mean, that's what I do in my empowerment sessions. Is I basically work with you on perspectives. Like, where's your perspective now? Okay, how can we find a better perspective that's going to get you where you want to go? Boom. It's not an armchair psychology. Come see me every single week. It's kind of like Hamish. We do kind of the same thing. We work with energy just differently from a different place. Someone that really wants the structures dismantled, really, you show people how to dismantle those structures. And then I help dismantle people's mental structures. So what we do is very similar. But my point is that, you can use any kind of tools you want to move yourself along in this process, because the faster, I mean, I do believe the waves are coming and going at a particular speed based on who's really ready for them and perceptive to them. Listen, you don't have to know they're here before they're coming and going, whether you like it or not. But if you can tune into them and say, wow, this is here. There are people that are feeling it. Let me tune in. Let me see if I can feel it. Let me stop my busyness. Let me tune in. I feel that the momentum comes from us. Don't you, Hamish? Yeah,
absolutely. And that was those two videos that I put out on, and the big long post that Alicia put out in her community thing on the return of the king.
Wasn't that the masculine stuff you were talking about?
That was the masculine. Right. Yeah. And what we were saying was the same thing. Look, there's this energy wave coming through, because how else do you describe it? They're just very clunky words. Yeah. But there's this energy wave coming through, and it's going to probably feel a bit wonky because every wave is getting stronger than the last one.
It really is.
And when it recedes, using Debbie's tidal metaphor, when it
Low
recedes,
tide.
and even when it's coming in,
Yeah.
you're going to feel all of this debris come up.
Yes.
And it's probably going to be around the distorted masculine in you and around you. And so that was a heads up to go, and it's still ongoing right now, but it was like a heads up to go, in the next few days, few weeks, you're probably going to come across a lot of pressure and a lot of push and a lot of force and a lot of weirdness around this distorted masculine stuff.
Right.
And you don't have to do anything about it. You can just go a bit crazy or just deal with it however you want. But the invitation is, that's not you. Let's have a look at how we can deal with it. Like, just observe it. A lot of it just needs observing before it goes. And you don't have to do anything with it.
Can you give our listeners an idea of what some distorted masculine looks like? Because for me, the reason why I say that is what I've worked on mostly throughout this whole, I want to say, sacred counterpart journey for me has been to deal with the distorted masculine within myself. So I'm not recognizing, which is maybe why those waves are coming in as source energy that's not kicking up a lot of the, the little talks.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you have any like examples based on what you've been seeing or anything?
Absolutely. If you're not in touch with the masculine inside of you, or the masculine inside of you has been distorted and redirected and Paula mirrors and deflected, however that is, you're potentially, when a very serious situation comes up, you're going to procrastinate about it.
Okay.
You're going to hide behind other things. You're going to look for someone else to take the lead. You're going to not want to get it done.
You're not going to deal with problems because that
not only not going to
action.
Yeah, and you're
action.
not going to know how to deal with problems. You're going to be so lost at sea that you don't even know how you could deal with that problem. Like, it's not like I just don't want to. It's like I have no fucking idea what to do here at all, and I'm freaking out. I'm triggered. I am traumatized, and I just want to pull my head under the covers and eat a honey sandwich and pretend I'm not here. Like, I don't know what to do. The flip side of that would be, you are going to be brutal. You are going to be pushy. You are going to be forceful. You don't care who you hurt to get it done, because this is a do or die situation that you are in, even though it's not. Mm-hmm. And so if you knock someone over and break their hip to get to the thing, well, that's just bad luck. They shouldn't have been in the way. Like, you're going to be traumatic the other way. Both of those are distorted masculine. Neither of those are the way you wished that your father would have behaved. Neither of them. You do not want your father to behave in either or any sort of father figure. If any father figure that you looked up to behaved in either of those ways around a pressure point, you would cringe.
Well, they probably did. That's the problem. We've had such distorted...
And we have as well. Like, we've all behaved because it's a spectrum. Like, the tyrannical brute is over here,
narcissist,
and the wilting flower is over here.
And the victim. We've got the narcissist and the victim. We've got the service to self. We've got the service to others. It goes way back to the whole Atlantean. Here we are back again, Hamish, the parents with the car keys.
But none of that is the way a king behaves.
Exactly.
A king does not behave like that. A king assesses the situation, puts aside, listens to his own feelings and then puts them aside, listens to his emotions and then puts them aside, and then he does what he must do to get the work done.
Right.
Not hurting anyone else,
right, and
not distributing blame to other people in case it goes wrong. Like, you just do what needs doing.
Right.
Full stop. That's it. No bells, no whistles, nothing. It's almost like that Taoist thing of the best ruler is the ruler that no one realizes is ruling them.
Yeah.
Like, it's so unobtrusive that everyone looks at you and they go, geez, does that guy even do anything? Like, he just wanders around. Because they don't even see that you're doing stuff. You're doing it so smoothly. Like
Right.
that's where you're at. Something pops up, you just do it. You get it done, but not in a tyrannical way, not in a forceful or an overbearing way. And you'll see it's always fear. The distortion is fear. And I've done like umpteenth, not so much YouTube videos because that came later, but posts on Instagram. Like I lent on this hardcore probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Mhm.
especially after the 2000, like the 2020 stuff. I really lent on this hardcore. Like fear is the distortion, like capital T, the.
Right.
It
It's
is
the
only,
opposite. It's the opposite of the source energy. It is
of course it is.
absolutely. Yep.
That's it. Fear is a liar. It's an absolute liar, and it will make you behave either like run and hide or like a tyrannical monster. But both of those are
Polar.
incorrect responses.
Right.
They're trauma responses to fear.
Right.
And
Right. Good point.
it's not necessarily your fault. Like we look at these people, narcissist is a, I mean, it's not like it's a
It's
new word. We've been,
overused. Now they're
yeah,
using it programming manipulation, but that
yeah,
is the word to identify when you think of someone who is, I don't know what the word is. It's like
yeah.
it's not even
But
self-serving.
we
It's
say
it's
it.
it's a fear response is what it
The
is. It's
fear
either
response.
fight or flight. Fight or
Yeah,
flight.
and we say it as if it's a label. That person is a narcissist. It's like, no,
Mm-mm.
no. That's like saying that person is a psychopath. That is a tiny portion, that alien behavior that's not human.
Right.
It's a very small portion
Of
of
what
the
makes up that.
population in here.
Yes.
No, I would almost hazard a guess that if you're not a psychopath, no one is a narcissist. They are displaying narcissistic behavior.
Right. And it's
They're not
usually in response to a traumatized masculine,
even
correct?
even correct. Even if it's not a traumatic situation, the trauma takes you to the fear, and the fear leads you to the response. And when you look at the way
It's a response.
narcissistic behavior works,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nasty mostly. I mean, the behavior we talk about, not the gazing into the pool, like gazing into the black
I
screen, the
know.
mirror.
Yeah. No, we're
That's the
talking
proper
about,
narcissist, right? But
yeah,
we're talking about the gaslighting and the all of
having
that
to
is
be
like,
right. And yeah.
yeah, it's all do or die situations.
So I've got to control everything because if you don't
I've got to
control
control
it,
it because of
no
fear.
one's going to be in control.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily treat you this way, but if I don't, I'll die.
Right, right,
I will
absolutely. It's
die. Like
distorted
it's a death.
masculine. Is that would that
Totally.
can feminine be distorted? Would it be a distorted feminine characteristic as well to be that
Look,
way?
those and yeah, the narcissistic tendencies are there as well in a distorted feminine because but see once again the Greek myth Narcissus is not actually what we're talking about
And
here.
okay,
We're talking
yeah,
about toxic behavior
yeah,
that you're doing because you think it's survival.
right.
It's like it's almost alien in a way. It's the people trampling over children to get out of the collapsed stands in the football stadium. Like it's not human behavior in a way, but the distorted feminine is more like using using your body or your emotions as a tool against other people in a like in a
Right.
sexual way, in an
Well,
emotional
and that's
way.
also a response to fear in
Absolutely,
acting
absolutely.
out that energy
Yep.
in a more assertive, aggressive way, like
Uh-huh.
feminism and all of that, over
Yep.
running away and being subservient and a
And
mouse.
and we've got to be very clear that plenty of men have a perfectly functioning masculine and a very distorted feminine.
Yes,
And plenty
yes,
of
it's
women
very
have a perfectly well functioning feminine but a very distorted masculine. So
right.
it's not about the
It's not about
sex
the
of the body.
gender. It's not the gender. It's
No,
the energy
absolutely not.
balance. So when we're talking about, so let's just go to that because I think this is a really important conversation for us to be having right now, given what's coming up for clearing, what is
Yeah.
being washed away, what has
Yeah.
definitely been needed because we really need the masculine energies, the undistorted masculine energies to step up into their power. I've heard it left, right, and center because once
Yep.
they do, game over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Game over.
And And do you know why it's game over? I mean, you know it's why, but
Yeah,
I'm going
you
to say
say
a
because I
rhetorical
want to
question.
hear it how you say it.
The reason why when the masculine does what it's meant to do, not the men, but the
Because
masculine.
I got masculine too. So, I
Yep,
mean, yeah,
exactly.
right. I
Exactly.
identify. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why it's game over when the masculine steps up and stops being distorted and stops uh, doing wrong actions out of fear and
Hmm.
actually just does what needs to be done is
Yeah.
because the masculine is the throne that the feminine sits upon. And so the masculine, and this is the weird thing, is because the masculine, we get the masculine's the spearhead, the doer. The masculine's the one that goes and gets it done, and the feminine holds. And even the sexual organs show that, right? The
Hmm.
masculine is the spear, and the feminine is the holding. But energetically and magically, that's flipped.
I agree with you.
The masculine holds the space while the feminine takes the shit to the cleaners.
Yes.
That's how it works. And
Yes.
so if you're in a magical working and there's two of you, and it doesn't matter what kind of physical body you're in, the one who is better at holding and expressing their masculine will be the throne, holding the space, not smothering, because that's that female,
Distorted.
the smother,
Right.
the too much,
That's the
the over,
distorted feminine.
it's the
Yeah.
total distortion. You're not smothering. The throne is not clamping you down with
Hmm.
seatbelts but the throne is holding you
Right.
absolutely rock steady. And the person in the working group of two who expresses their feminine the best is the one who is going to be sitting on the throne getting shit done.
Yeah.
And so nothing's getting done at the moment because there's no throne.
Yeah.
And that's not there's no men. That's there's no masculine energy to hold the feminine energy. And that's in me, in you personally. But then when we look at that, we go, yeah, that's everywhere. And
Right.
so that's why we're saying the masculine needs to come online in a big way, is because we need a throne. We can't
Right.
just float in frigging midair trying to get shit done because people are coming at us from behind. People are
Right.
coming at us from underneath. We have no pillar of strength that we're anchored to. And I mean, that's a very sexual connotation, but think about all that tantric sex stuff that you've seen. Wipe the distortion away for now and all the weird temples and all the craziness. If the masculine is in a masculine body and he's the throne, and the feminine is in a feminine female physical body and she's sitting on top of him, getting held by him while she gets it done,
Right.
how would that look in a sexual position?
I know.
You are literally, the feminine is out there getting it done, but she's literally anchored onto a masculine pillar.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so you are
Stronger.
holding each other. Yeah, you are holding each other from the outside, but you are also internally anchored. So the energy is flowing inside and outside.
Right.
That's that is the crux of all the tantric stuff. And the woman is
Union.
never, yeah, and the
Union.
woman is never underneath in those tantric pictures. Why not?
Absolutely.
Because the woman is not the throne.
Yes.
The masculine is the throne, and the woman sits on the throne and gets shit done. The queen is the one doing the work.
Right.
The king is the one watching her back, guarding her
Thank
energy,
you.
and
Thank
holding that
you.
space.
Thank you.
That's
I
how it
had
all works.
I had that vision a long time ago, and even with the counterpart, it was always I always saw my counterpart standing behind me, always,
Always. I had this
standing
conversation
behind
with
me.
someone
Yeah.
only 2 days ago. I said, when you're doing proper, energetic union work, if you are the female body or you are embodying the feminine,
Yep.
you will feel the masculine standing behind, like maybe right behind you, like
Right.
right up against you, maybe
Right.
inside you
I
at the
used to
same time.
feel
Like
wings around me. Actually, I used to feel the
always
wings around me. Yes.
that it's that energy of like the sword and the wings
Yes.
holding.
Yes.
And if you're the masculine energy you will always be standing behind the feminine,
Right.
like this,
Right.
holding the space.
Right.
Always. That's when you know that you're embodying the energetic work properly, because you don't need anyone to tell you that that's what's going on. It's just like, Anytime I do energetic work with that person, I'm always standing in front of them and they're always behind me. That's weird. I wonder why.
Yeah.
That's how it's meant to be.
Right.
That's the configuration.
So when we're looking here at, now we've got this information, we're talking about how the distorted masculine is coming up for these waves are coming in, or whatever it is coming in. It is going directly after people's distorted masculine.
Yes.
How is that happening? I mean, when does it happen? Like, how is it happening? Like, is it, I don't know. I'm just
That's a
asking
good
you.
question. I didn't know. I knew that the first activation of waves we had go through, like as in this amplification, so not that long ago, the first activation that went through was the feminine.
Right.
And that was not that long ago, and a few people noticed it and a few people didn't. But everything that was coming up was feminine energy.
Right.
Everything that was coming up was the distortion around being very cold and aloof, being very smothering, and not
The
wanting
polar
everyone to be safe.
opposites, the polar opposites of the feminine. Right.
Yeah, being highly selling yourself to the highest bidder, or actually underselling yourself to very low and just going, well, that's all I'm worth. Like,
Right.
on the street, selling yourself on the street,
Right.
selling yourself in ways that are not for sale. Like, you shouldn't be bartering that for money. Like, that's
Right.
not, like, all of that stuff was coming up for men and women
Right.
very strongly not
Right.
that long ago. And it went through, and a lot of people dealt with it, and a lot of people came out the other side of, now I know what I'm worth.
Right.
Now I know what I will sell and what I won't sell.
Boundaries. The boundaries.
I'll give it for free. I'll give it for free, but you can't buy it from me. Like, now I know how I'm smothering people in my life. Now I see where people are smothering me. Now I know where I'm being cold and standoffish, and like, all of that, whether it got dealt with or not, it came up,
Right.
and the tide went out again. And so there were a few of us, and I was one, and Alicia was another, and I'm sure there were many others who felt the tap of that wave coming in. We kind of felt it midweek last week, and by the time Thursday came along, it was like, oh boy, the pressure's building, and it's coming for the masculine this time. Like, we could feel it.
Right.
And so it's going to come in, and you're going to get situations come up that make you act like a tyrant or run in the other direction,
Okay.
depending on your distortion.
Right.
Like, all of those ideas of the distorted masculine that we went through, how that usually would play out is things are going to come up around you and they're going to trigger the fuck out of you.
Right.
Whether it's your children, your work, your employer, your landlord, your pet, doesn't matter. They're going to trigger you, and you're going to automatically go to behave in a distorted masculine way. And the invitation is, oh, just catch yourself and go, oh, that's not, gee, here am I posting on Instagram about what Israel's doing with Gaza, and I'm just about to carpet bomb my child. Gosh, I'm Israel and my child's Gaza.
Right.
But I've been banging on for 3 weeks about how demonic they are.
Right.
What is that behavior in me? Let's have a look at that. Not I'm a terrible person, but that's not cool behavior. I've already highlighted to everyone on my social feed that's not cool behavior.
Right.
So why do I think I can do it?
Right.
I should check that. Like, that's the stuff. That's how it comes up. In the real world, it's going to come up in ways that you are not going to expect, because we don't know what we're dealing with here. We don't know what we're looking at. It always comes in a way that's unexpected and in a package that looks totally off. But the energy underneath, bingo, that's what it's going to be.
Okay. Because what comes to my mind is like, who's really going to experience it? Is it going to be the forerunners that haven't dealt with it, or is it going to come into the John Q population? It seems to me that, just from what I've seen so far, there are a lot of people that so far have not wanted to really deal with. They kind of go into desensitized and almost like in neutral. There's a lot of people that I'm seeing, and I hate to say they're the sleeping people, but they're the people that really don't seem to be rattled by any of these energies coming in, and they're kind of like sitting in neutral, and it's like they could have a big wave hit and they're just gonna stay. They're not gonna run, they're not gonna attack, they're gonna just, okay, if I just stay and I don't do anything. Are those the John Q. Public people gonna be feeling this, or is this really?
Yeah.
They are.
Oh yeah,
Okay. Okay.
because I had a theory about this because 2020 taught me a lot about
Okay.
how energies move
Okay.
in groups, how energy moves through groups. And so the one thing that it really taught me is no matter if they're actually like heart-centered, heart-based, spirited and souled beings, they're humans,
Right.
then their line in the sand will come up eventually.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter how many free passes it looks like they're getting, and it doesn't matter how many that didn't trigger them, and that didn't trigger them, and that didn't trigger them, and the fire alarms are going off all around them, and they just can't even seem to hear it. But then that one thing that you didn't expect will come up, and and off they go. And once they're going, then they look behind, and then they can see and they're like, it's like that meme of that dog off whatever cartoon it is, sitting in the flames with the drink at the table going, this is fine. This is totally fine. While the whole thing's burning. Like they have no idea, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as that thing wakes them up, gets their attention, and the veil comes off their eyes and they go, oh, shit,
Right.
look what's going on over there. And all of a sudden they're activated, like
Right.
Palestine.
Right.
All of a sudden they activate into Palestine, and some of us have been talking about Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan and Yemen and on and on and on, all these countries in Africa for the last however long. It's never ended, all that stuff. They're going, yeah, welcome to the party. Glad you could make it. Check over your shoulder. There's a bit of shit that's gone under the bridge while you weren't looking.
Right.
And they're on, and they're like, can you believe? And the government and the this and that's great because they're finally awake. Now they're going to be losing their shit, sure.
Right.
But something is going to come that pushes their button in a way that kicks them off.
Okay.
And we don't know what that's going to be. But if they're able to be kicked off, I have no doubt eventually something is going to happen. And it doesn't matter whether it's presidents that are clones, doesn't matter if it's kids in tunnels, it doesn't matter if it's off-world stuff. Something is going to come up that's been around them their whole life that they've paid no attention to, that just grabs them in just that correct way.
Right.
And then the momentum starts. So I'm absolutely sure that because I've watched it happen over the last 4 years, people who I thought would never wake up,
Right.
and something rubbed them the wrong way, and all of a sudden they're sovereign citizens. All of a sudden they're burning their birth certificate, or like they're
Yeah.
they're awake. They can see a bit of what's going on. So it'll happen.
So in this particular case, because in my opinion, having been on just the catalytic heart awakening journey and seeing mostly women, I'm going to just say it, mostly women that have really dug in and dealt with their distorted feminine, dealt with their distorted masculine, are sitting here really ready to sit on a throne. Okay. Is it going to be just one wave, or do we feel that we've got several waves that are going to have to hit? Like, I'm just curious what your thinking is.
Well, my feeling and what I've been shown around that is the waves, what we're calling waves at the moment are ripples.
Okay.
And they're getting bigger.
Yeah.
But they're not waves, they're just ripples.
So we've got a big masculine wave coming, is what you're saying.
There is, no, we've got a big masculine ripple coming.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
And then we'll have another feminine ripple, and like, I don't know how many.
I see what you're saying.
But I think it's going to be, it feels like it's fast and furious now, like it's hard and fast. Okay. So I don't want to put time frames or dates on.
I'm just going to ask, because I for some of us who have been doing our work, I do not want to come across as, I've been doing my work. I don't mean it that way. I've been working my ass off and it has not been easy. But my experience of this wave that's come in and gone out has been extremely productive for me. I'm just looking for, hey, am I going to get hit by this wave and knocked over? I'm wondering,
Okay. So
you
so
get what
no
I'm
matter
drifting at.
no matter how well you deal with the ripples,
Yes.
because I think that's the best way to describe it. Like
Thank you.
we talk about three waves. They're like ripples. There's one wave that feels like it's coming,
Okay.
and the
That's the big
ripples
wave.
are yeah, and that's the big one. And well, the thing is, nothing comes after that wave because it never stops.
Right.
The wave never stops. We like the wave comes over and we go underwater,
Right.
like
Until we get
the
up.
wave comes over. Yeah, we never come out of that. Like that's actually our swimming in that energy is our native state. Okay.
Okie dokie.
We don't ever
Yes.
come
Yes.
out of that. And so the thing is though, you couldn't handle that energy 24/7 without having a heart attack at the moment.
I agree.
Like your physical body is not ready for it, let alone your energetic body. Like
Yes.
you'd be crying, it'd be
reduced
crazy,
to mud.
right?
Yeah.
We'd be a puddle on the ground,
Yes,
like
yes.
me included. So these ripples are to
Prepping us.
prep us for what's coming. But when that wave hits, we are all going to be knocked to our knees.
And that's the solar
Every
flash to
single-
some people. Some people call it
Yeah.
the solar flash, some people call it the love
Yep.
wave, and some people call it the
Yep.
event. We're talking
However
wave.
that goes, and look, we could be sitting in pods in chairs with VR headsets on and haptic suits in a virtual reality.
Right.
Like and the wave is because we've got these cannulas set up and when everyone's actually looks like they're mentally and emotionally stable enough, they're going to inject the mushroom mixture or the something into everyone's cannula,
then we all go,
the wave literally runs through our bloodstream,
Right.
like what,
We're
and it brings us back to consciousness.
Understood.
Like it kind of doesn't matter.
It
Like
doesn't
these are just
matter.
metaphors.
Yeah,
No,
it doesn't
but
matter.
however that thing goes, solar wave, flash, mushroom juice and DMT through the cannula, however it looks, right? Sorry, Debbie. It's going to snap us into who we actually are, and the state that we actually exist in. So there's no low tide. There's no
Right.
coming back from that wave.
Right.
That wave brings us into who we actually are, and we don't ever come back out of it.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay, Hamish, but now I got another question for you. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people who see the two world split. What's that about? So is the two
Well,
world
because-
split, is there a group of us that don't come out of it? And then there's other people that don't get hit? Sorry to
I
put you
think-
on the spot.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of view. I think the two world split to me is like there are people who, even though they've gone through the wave, they're still not going to be ready to abandon everything that they think life is.
Okay.
And they're going to have to work like we still need money, or we need a solution for money.
Okay.
We still need education, or we need a solution for education. Whereas there are some of us that are like, we don't.
We don't need
any-
education. We're just
don't
going to
need
go
any of that
We're
stuff.
going to go
Like,
create stuff now.
Like, I don't need a new earth. I don't need to go to a new world. I just need to go home. Like,
Gotcha.
I know that there's a place outside of here. There's a realm. There's a home. I know there is an energetic spot outside of here that I consider home, and that there are lots of other energetic spots that you can visit or not if you want. It doesn't have to look like this place we're in right now for me.
Right.
It doesn't have to feel like it. I don't need an education system to get better. I don't need Trump to be made the president again. I don't need a quantum financial system. I don't need all of this stuff to be worked out. That ball of string,
Yes.
I'd pick the ball of string up and go over the shoulder, because
Yes.
I know, I see it for what it is.
Right.
Some people,
Want new earth.
they want to work out the ball of string
Right.
for
They
whatever
want to
reason.
work
and
out
that-
the new earth. They want to go through all of the things that they never got to do here because they were
They
so
never got to
interfered
do.
with. And they
Yeah.
want to get, and I know a lot of people that are like that. Sometimes I think I'm one of them, and that may be some reason why I'm here for a period of time to go through that. But in here and in here, in my heart, I'm like you. I know that there's another
Yep.
place to go to, and that after it's all said and done. So
I
Yes.
don't need to unwind anything in here for myself.
Right.
I'm happy to guide people through and help them in any way I can if that's work that needs doing
Right.
about unwinding things, but
Right.
I don't need to do it for me. There's nothing in here that I feel like I didn't get to do it and I'd love to because I actually know I've done everything.
Right.
I know I've done everything. I
Right.
know I've experienced everything in
Right.
here, one way or another. And I know that in here is still just a copy of out there, and a new Earth is going to be the same thing. It's going to be some sort of a matrix, some sort of a construct, some sort of a simulation where you can go in. And this is what they're talking about virtual reality in this reality being like. Virtual reality is great because you can go in, you can do what you need to do. The model will play out just like real life as close as we can get it. The model will give you weather and it'll give you this and it'll give you that. And you can see how your architectural design would stand up over 200 years of weather and events and things. You don't have to just build it in the
Mm.
real world and see how it works. Like that's what these things are in a
Right.
way. They're
Right.
designed to be places to hang out. They're designed to be places to test out your creativity. They're
Right.
like that's what we built them for in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there's like the real world
Oh,
home,
the real experience
the
of
real
being our
experience.
creator being selves that aren't just based on
Yeah.
this universal experience. It's
Yeah.
based
And
on our
these
cumulative experiences in all of the virtual realities that
mm,
we've played in and all of the
exactly.
virtual realities that we have yet to create.
Exactly. And it's not the void. It's not going back to the non-geometric void where you're still a personality. You still retain consciousness, whatever that means, in that void space. You don't just disintegrate into
Right.
not like you
Right.
could. You could
You
disintegrate
could.
into everything
Right.
and then get rebuilt again,
Right.
but you don't have to.
Right.
That's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and hang out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's a
Yep.
really nice spot to hang out. I
Yeah.
recommend it. Pretty good. But you can just walk yourself back a little bit from there and go, yeah, there's places where I can hang out with other personalities. We can build stuff. But it's not like in here.
Right.
It's not full of distortion. It's
Right.
not full of people who can't read each other's thoughts and emotions. It's
Right.
not full of parasites.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
know that
home.
a lot of people would that think of New Earth think that all of that stuff would be gone anyways in a new experiment. That there would be no mind viruses. That there would be no
And
control
I agree with that.
structures. And
I totally agree with that, but it's going
right,
to look and feel like they're familiar with.
right,
Whereas outside of here does not look and feel like you're familiar with. That's why when people get out of their body, they even just get out of their body, their physical body, and they try and navigate inside the construct, and it looks and feels too weird for them, and they
right,
freak out, and they come back.
right,
What do you think outside the construct's going to be like? You have no concept of what that feels or looks like, and
right.
it's going to be too much for some people.
Yeah,
And so they're going to want to walk themselves out of the corner one step at a time rather than just going, let's dissolve the whole building. Oh, look, I'm not
right.
in a corner anymore. I'm
Right.
home.
And so that's what we're saying, that's what you're saying. The two world split is to you
Yeah.
is you're seeing that there's some people that are going to want to continue the construct if whether it's the fifth realm or whatever.
A
Then there's
construct.
some people are
Yep.
going to want to just go on
Just
home or
just
go
go
on
home.
out and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The two world split to me doesn't look like you all go down to hell to the pit for
Oh
being
yeah.
terrible
No,
people
no, no.
and you get to go to I'm like, no, no, no,
No, no, no.
no.
No, I don't
The
see that
most
either.
of what you see that's traumatic and terrible behavior in here is a program and it's done to you by bots
Yeah.
and clones.
Yeah.
Real humans with souls and spirits do
Don't
not
do
treat
that
each other
stuff.
like that.
Right.
They don't do that stuff.
Right.
So those things are going to get switched off when this thing gets switched off.
Right.
They're gone. It's a faulty program.
Well, that's what I
And
was definitely getting is that those creations, like they don't exist. And that's how I
no,
feel. I'm going to say
don't.
this. I feel that way about all of the evil extraterrestrials and all that stuff. These guys are boogeymans in our little movie theater that we created. Just like if you go to the movie theater and you see Dracula movies and you see all these things.
Yeah,
Do you feel that way? Like once we're out of
totally.
here, they're gone. I mean, they don't exist. It's not like they
Not in,
go somewhere else to another place in our reality, our creation.
no,
They do not
no,
exist.
no, not in the way that we see them, not in that distortion.
Right.
No, they don't.
Right.
Because because and you could create yourself a pocket realm or a virtual reality because you're a
Right.
creator
Right.
where you could go in and you could play with distortions and experience them
Right.
if you wanted to.
Right.
That there's not,
There's nothing wrong with that.
but you're not going to create it so that you're locked in there
With other
reincarnating.
people
You
and
could
mind
never fucking
wiping.
get out.
Exactly.
Who would
And mind
create that? Like,
Who did this in the first place? I want to know. I want
no,
to
like
know. I just want to
no
know.
one would create that. No, no. So
Someone did create it, Hamish. Someone
no,
created
we
it.
created it, and someone stole the keys and had a party. That's what happened.
I know. Oh, bless our hearts, right? It was, as Sally says, bless our hearts. You know, Sally. Anyway, sorry, I just got that in my mind. It's like, this is, whoo, my God,
Yeah.
this has been an amazing conversation.
Mm.
Is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't covered in everything that we've been talking about that you had been thinking about?
No, all I can really say is like I would recommend anyone who's interested in anything we've said to go and either go to my community page and look at the very first thing, which was this video, this Star Wars Carlos Castaneda video, or just put in Star Wars Castaneda and see what comes up. And it's called The Spirituality of Star Wars, or something like that. It goes for about 2 hours. And this is not, I'm not repping for either Star Wars or Disney or Carlos
Sure
Castaneda.
you
I'm not,
are. I know you.
but
You are.
but the descriptions of the energy of how, like the setting to hold yourself in, how to behave and how to meet these energies and how to deal with them, it is like bar none the best that I have ever found, ever. Like the guy who put this together, and it's a girl who narrates it for him,
Right.
but the guy who he spent 12 months putting this together and like years for it building up, but it will give you a really good picture of how to approach yourself in these energies, because you're not dealing with your family, you're not dealing with anything else, you're not, these waves, these ripples are coming through and they're bringing up stuff in you, and it's how you deal with yourself
Right.
and the things in you that aren't yourself as to how you're going to come out the other side of that. And it's just really, really important to not take it personally and to go really easy on yourself. Like you can just let this stuff come up and drop away and not get all bent out of shape and not get traumatized and not take it personally, and don't get lost in the story of it, because who's getting lost in the story? Like, who are you?
Right.
Who are you to even get lost in a story like this?
Right.
Like, that's not you. So just give
Let
yourself
go.
a bit of leeway. Let go. The more you can let go of the trauma, and a lot of people are married to their trauma because it gives them an identity, and they don't even know they are.
Yeah.
Like, but their story, when they get to talk to someone, the trauma always comes up. It's well, I wouldn't be like this if it wasn't for these things that happen. You go, yeah, that's true, but you're also not acting like yourself, like capital S self.
Right.
Who are you actually?
Right.
Have you even had a sniff of that? Because Debbie just explained at the start of this video how it felt when she met herself.
Yeah.
It brought her to her knees and she was in tears of joy and bliss and all
the
like,
stuff washed away, all the
all
stuff
the
that I
stuff.
wasn't.
That's what it feels like when you meet that much of yourself.
I know, like the little ripple.
It's a tiny
Just imagine
ripple.
what this is going to feel like. Shh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So don't beat yourself up.
Right.
Go really and ask for help.
Yes.
Hit me up. Hit Debbie up.
Yep.
Get into a group where people are really helpful, like Debbie's group, like Lisa's group, like Alicia Brachet's group, where
group.
people help each other. For like they just support each other and help each
group.
other, and get in that space and just be there and ask for help. and
Yeah.
hang out and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Don't like just be vulnerable.
I
Just
was going to
open up and be
say,
vulnerable.
I think that what I have found the most special part of this whole journey is really allowing myself to become more and more and more authentic. Like, I mean,
Mm.
I know I was saying that about the beginning of this call that we were I was saying how scary sometimes it is to just allow yourself to jump. You know, it's the fool in the
Yeah.
tarot card.
Yeah.
Um, the more you can allow yourself to just be, let go, allow yourself to let this process happen for you. See, the thing is this process is happening by us, for us, in a very beneficial, loving way that we can determine how we experience it by how much resistance we have to it. If we resist it and we freak out and we're like, oh my God, it makes it more difficult. Whereas if we just allow ourselves to float with those ripples that come in and just say, hey, stuff's going to come up. Oh, wow,
Mm.
look at that. That just came up. Okay, well, I can let go of that. If we can
Yeah.
do that, anyone that's listening to this, guys, we do this and that solar flash, that wave, that new, the big wave, the event, that's going to come through us. And when it happens, we're all going to be ready for it and
Ready as we can be.
ready as we can be. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Please, we encourage comments, questions, anything you want to leave for us below so that below in the comments, we would love to hear it. We will be back for another video. I know that, and I'm going to make sure that you have our information down on how to get a hold of Hamish and I. If you have any needs for assistance, a hand up, someone to just talk to about your situation or just some support, and our a couple of the Telegram chats and stuff that Hamish mentioned we'll put there too. We had an amazing group of people that are just coming together and supporting each other in the most loving ways. So of course we would love to invite you to be part of that. So all
There
right.
are there are some really, really, really powerful, amazing people hidden in those groups, and they don't even know how powerful they are
Yeah,
yet. But they're going to find out very soon
that's
that
right.
some of them make us look like small fry. Like
I'm
they're
sure you
really
know who
something.
they all are. I know I'm starting to see who they are. I'm like, wow, we got some
Mm.
great people that are coming into their own, their authentic beings. And
Yep.
whew, all right, well, let's see where this goes from here. We'll get together and have another call real soon as we have something to report and check in on, right, Hamish?
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. A
All right,
fantastic
guys.
conversation.
So
Thank you so much, Debbie.
hey, I loved it. This was my favorite way to spend time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Hamish, and all you guys who are watching. We appreciate you and we love you very much. So take care until next time. Bye.
Bye.